A few weeks ago, I shared a mindless knit that I was working on, just something that I could take with me anywhere and not have to focus on. And I asked you to tell me what your favourite mindless knits were, and you flooded the comments with all of your choices. Some of them I've knitted a number of times, and some of them I can't wait to cast on. But I wanted to share what your top 10 mindless knits were. So those mindless knits are the ones that you pick up every single time, you know, when you are feeling under duress, when you've just finished a really complicated project, when you want to just take your knitting with you and not have to think about sort of reading a pattern or looking at charts. The ones that you can take with you to your knit and natter groups, and the ones that you take with you for coffee with friends, down the pub, down the beach in my case. So I was knitting this just the little Porthleven scarf that we have in the shop, and I knitted it in a really bright colour. These are my notes here. And I asked you to tell me what your favourite mindless knits were, those ones that you reach for again and again, which are just your palette cleansers, those ones that soothe you. And you outdid yourselves. You provided me with so many comments. But there were some really strong themes that came through. So I thought it would be fun to just record a video of the top 10 that you said that you reach for again and again, and just share the ones that I've knitted and my thoughts on them too. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you're new here, I'm Jane, I'm the Cornish Knitter. I hope you like what you see, and if you do, please like, comment, and obviously hit that bell and subscribe too. So without further ado, the first one that you mentioned, the vanilla sock. So vanilla socks are music to my ears. I've always got a pair of socks on the go, and I totally love a vanilla sock, you know, something that's basic that you can do without a pattern, particularly if you know your foot size, you know, you can just do it without thinking about it, whether you like knitting on magic loop, DPN, shorties, whatever, you can just pop it in your bag and take it anywhere with you. And I have probably knitted, well, I've lost count. As I said, I've always got them on my needles. Just a couple, you know, quite often if you've got a lovely yarn that you want to showcase, just a plain stocking stitch vanilla sock. That's a short row heel on that one. So easy to take with you and just showcases the yarn. And I also like to add a little bit of rib. So I think that was a 3x1 rib. Just another, a lovely sort of yarn that I really just wanted to showcase. So many of you said that you reached for a vanilla sock whenever you wanted to just lose yourself in your knitting, and I totally get it. Socks are great, aren't they? You can knit them for yourselves, you can knit them as gifts. They're just a perfect portable little sort of project, and they don't have to be complicated. And if you are gifting them, people will love them, whether they're complicated or not, because they'll just love the feel of them and the fact that you've made them something handmade. So totally agree with number one. It would be up there on my top, in my top 10, and probably up the top, if not at number 1 too. Number 2 is, and just pick up my notes because they've just dropped on the floor, is so many of you said that you actually knit or crochet, because this isn't really just about knitting, washcloths. And I have had people say that they carry a washcloth knitting sort of project in the car if they get stuck in a car. For a period of time in a traffic jam or whatever, they've got something that they can work on. And that, again, they make great gifts, don't they? I have done so many washcloths, and also sort of knitted them and crocheted them and given them out as gifts. I mean, this is just one. This I modelled, it's just a plain one, but I modelled it on the pattern for the half and half wrap. It's done in Nurturing Fibres cotton, which is super soft. And I just like those two colours together. But yeah, I've done washcloths, I've crocheted them, I've done face pads, you know, all sorts, dishcloths as well. And they are a great project just to have your needles working, your mind just being able to switch off. And yeah, as I said, make great gifts too. So washcloths, dishcloths came very, very high on your list. And it's one that I'd forgotten about. So thank you for reminding me. And yeah, I will keep one in the car too, just in case. I always knit mine in 100% cotton. Just because people can then pop it in the washing machine at sort of at least 60 degrees centigrade and give it a good hot wash to get it clean. But yeah, no, great option for number 2. And number 3 is one, and I'm going to have to hold it up. Number 3 is the Muscle Burr hat. So those of you who have not knitted this phenomenon, I always struggle with that word. Here we go. This is the Muscle Burr here. So basically, essentially, it's a tube you cast on here at the beginning, increase out, and then knit a long tube before decreasing back in, and then you invert it so you fold one side into the other. I have to confess, I have never knitted the Muscle Burr hat. Where have I been? I think it's because I don't wear hats particularly, and I don't really know an awful lot of people that do. You know, my family don't particularly wear hats either. So I think that's probably the thing that's stopped me casting one on, because actually what would I do with it? And it comes down to whether you're a process or a product type of knitter. You know, do you enjoy the process just for the process sake, or do you knit because you want the end product at the end of it? And probably for me, although I love the process, I have so many knitting projects on the go, both personally and for the shop, that I just don't have the space to knit something that I'm not going to use the product or know what to do with it. I suppose I could knit a sample for the shop and have it in the shop. But I know so many of you have knitted it, and so many of you, it's a 4-ply pattern. A number of you have knitted it where halfway you've changed the yarns to a much softer yarn, so that it's really nice and cozy inside, or that you can swap the changes so that you can knit it in 2 different colours and have the same hat doubles as 2 different coloured hats. So the Muscle Burr was definitely a strong contender, and those top 3, the sock, the dishcloth and the Muscle Burr, were really closely together. When I looked at what people were choosing, it was just so really close, but it, you know, the sock just shaded it, but I think the dishcloth and the Muscle Burr were a bit neck and neck, I have to say. So I know many of you have knitted it. Do share below why you love the Muscle Burr hat. See if you can convince me to cast one on and knit one too. Number 4 is the Sophie scarf by Petite Knits. Oh, I should have said the Muscle Burr hat is by Isolde Teague. I will pop them underneath in terms of if they are a designer's design. So the Sophie scarf was number 4 by Petite Knits. Well, that's been a phenomenon, hasn't it? So many people have knitted the Sophie scarf, and I've knitted and I've still got the tag on it from the shop. I've knitted so many of these, both the scarf and the shawl. So it is for those of you who have never made it, it is a simple garter stitch scarf, straight on one end, with an I-cord edge at both sides, and you increase on one side until you get to a point. Oh, where is it? It's there. And then you start decreasing to the other end. This one here is probably a hybrid between the scarf and the shawl, because let's face it, the pattern is the same, isn't it? Just one's bigger than the other. and I probably did it this length, A because I quite like this length, and B because I used 100 grams altogether, but 250-gram balls. This is the Camo Rose Hurst. I probably said that completely wrong, and we've had kits in the shop with this yarn, but it's a nice length to wrap around your neck. So Sophie's scarf is one that I often suggest for complete beginners in the shop, or not complete beginners, but certainly people that know the basic knit stitch and can understand a very basic pattern. As I said, I've knitted so many of them. I've done workshops knitting them, so I wasn't at all surprised to see that was up there. I've actually knitted them in different weight yarns as well. I think the pattern from memory is sort of a worsted weight, or even up to an Aran weight, but this yarn is sort of a worsted weight yarn. I've knitted them in double knit. I've knitted them 2 fibres held together. Yeah, you name it, I've knitted it, probably in the fibre. So number 5 is the Hitchhiker's Shawl. So this was the Hitchhiker's Shawl, and that was by Martina Behm, B-E-H-M, as again I will put it underneath. Oops. See if I can get that the right. So, oh, there you can see what's up next. So there it is. So it's got like a fluted edge, very simple stitch. This is done in a beautiful yarn, fingering weight yarn. It reminds me very much of the water lap shawl that we've got in the shop. It's just got that sort of slightly interesting edge on it, but the main part of the knit is really simple. It's a triangular shawl. I've not knitted it personally, but I've knitted the water lap 4 times, and to me that looks really similar as a scarf, and I can really understand why that would appeal to people too. So that had a strong showing in your top comments about your knits, and I can totally see why. It'd be great for a hero yarn, wouldn't it? Those ones that you go to a yarn show, buy one skein of yarn 4-ply that you fall in love with. You know, are you going to make socks with it, or can you make a shawl with it? And I suppose it depends where you want that colour to feature, and I think that's a great way of making a really beautiful yarn sort of stand out on its own. It's not competing with the pattern, it's easy to knit, and it's a great one. Again, it's not going to be very heavy, quite portable, and yeah, a great one I think to take around with you. So we're halfway there, and number 6 is the ranunculus. And boy, have I knitted a few ranunculus. Yes, so the ranunculus, I don't think I've ever been on Ravelry and not seen the ranunculus in, you know, you can click what's hot right now, and the ranunculus not have been on the front page of that. It has been out for so long, by Midori Hiroshi. If you haven't knitted it, why haven't you knitted it? And I know, again, this probably one with hype, but I think it's hype for good reason. I have got one on here. I have knitted, I haven't got all of them with me, but I have knitted 7. But I have got a few, a couple are still down the shop, but I knitted this one, which I loved, which was in a blend of a plain, I think it was just a cream or undyed 4-ply, and then a variegated Suri alpaca. It isn't mohair. I find mohair can be a bit scratchy on me. So this is a no sleeve one. I love this one, tend to wear it in the summer. It's beautiful and soft. I think my favourite weight of yarn to knit a ranunculus in is a fingering and lace weight combo. And it's the one I sort of return to again and again. Some of you may have seen on a previous video the blue one that's in the shop, which is a knitted in exactly that combo, but both in navy yarns. So that's one. I knitted one. This again is a cream with a different coloured, oh, hear my computer pinging away in the background. Yeah, so this is a long sleeve one this time. Yeah, long sleeved. I kept the sleeves quite loose, and I never know whether I'm going to make them no sleeves or long sleeves. The one thing I don't do that the pattern does is I don't do her neck cast on. I find that a lot of faff for to get started, and because it's a top down sweater with a little bit of a raglan shaping here for the armholes, and I do find it a bit of a faff. And when I first tried it, I was like, why am I doing this? Why don't I just cast on? I tend to do the smaller neck. If it's too wide, it sort of sits too far out. Actually, saying that, I think this one is a wider neck, but this one is a smaller neck. And yeah, again, love it. I always do it slightly longer. I don't like it too cropped, but I have got this first one actually is quite cropped, if you can see, and I tend to wear that over a dress, so that's why I can get away with that on being a bit more cropped. I've got one here which was in a naturally dyed yarn. Isn't that beautiful for a naturally dyed yarn? That's the, so on the back you'll notice there's short rows shaping to get the neck, to get the line right. This one, as I said, was in a naturally dyed yarn, long sleeved, and this time I put an I-cord edge on the edge of the sleeve. I tend to wear these almost like sweatshirts. They sort of go on, and yeah, if you've sort of seen lots about the ranunculus and just can't understand the hype, I've got to say, just give it a go. I mean, it's knitted on 6mm needles. This is the last one I'll show you, I promise. So this is done in double knit. The pattern is really easy to follow, and of course once you pass the pattern it's just zoom, 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 around and around. Again, long sleeve. Well, this is bracelet length sleeve, not long sleeve. I was probably running out of yarn on this one. It doesn't take much fibre either. I think on the pattern it says you need 600 metres. I think it'd have to be pretty cropped to be 600 metres. I probably use about 800 metres of yarn, so it's a, you know, it's a relatively easy knit with well, that doesn't use up a massive amount of yarn, and it's quick to knit. I can knit a ranunculus in, you know, I just knit in the evenings, but under a week I've got a ranunculus off the needle, and it's one that I reach for again and again as a bit of a palette cleanser. And I was so pleased to see it was in your choices too. So even though it's a sweater, it is one, I think once you're familiar with it, you can just go on and knit it, and just especially once you get past the, and this one here, as you can see, is just had a little bit of sleeve cuff on it, and this is knitted in Fibre Co Law, which is a double knit, and I wear it over t-shirts at this time of year because it's a good transition piece. Number seven is, unsurprisingly, The Love Note by Tin Can Knits. So I have knitted this twice. This is just one of them. I'm just looking, I think that's the back. So this is knitted in Fibre Company Ciro. It's a sample that's in the shop. I've got it in the pale blue as well. It's an easy pattern. For me, if I'm choosing between the ranunculus and the Love Note, it would be the ranunculus every single time. But I know people are huge devotees of this. I think my feeling about it is that I find this a bit too open lace, this piece here. But I must confess, I've only knitted it in this fibre. I probably should try knitting it in a more solid fibre and seeing what I think of it then. So I'm probably not giving it a fair chance, but you guys love it. And again, it was a bit of a palette cleanser for you, and one that you return to again and again. And I certainly know that we have customers that have knitted as many of these as I've knitted ranunculus, and cannot understand why I don't prefer it. So the love note came in at number 7. Number 8 was blankets, and this was sort of unspecified blankets. That was crochet and also knitting. And I think, again, blankets, because they haven't got any shaping, sometimes they're sort of quite modular, aren't they? That you work a little bit at a time, and you can join it together, or just because the pattern can be quite simple and you can just work it backwards and forwards. Not that portable a project unless you are doing a modular version. So if you are doing sort of little bits of it, then it's a great project because you can just take those bits. But if it's the whole thing, I have a crochet blanket, which I've been doing every winter for a couple of years now, nearly finished it, but I couldn't take it with me. It's blinking heavy. It will be lovely when it's finished. But one that is really popular and came up quite a bit, and I'm only sort of started, that was the Sweet Shop one, which is by Laura Penrose. And she did a cushion and I don't know, did I download the picture? I think I did, because it flashed up on your screen, didn't it, when I was, forgive me while I bring it up. So that is, yeah, so I'm doing the cushion cover, but that is the blanket, and it's a DK pattern, and it's meant to be able to use up all your odds and, I was going to say a real word, odds and sods, I was going to say, of yarn. She's used just a cream background, which I quite like. I quite like a sort of constant colour throughout. I knew I wasn't going to knit the blanket because I still have my crochet blanket on the go, but this is the cushion, which is the half squares are put together slightly differently to create a different pattern. So it's sort of like any of you that are quilters, it's like one of those star patterns that you get in quilting with your half square triangles, which were a nightmare for me. So you love a blanket, I have to say. So not surprisingly, that came in at number 8. Number 9 has sort of got a relevance to this, and it was granny squares. And granny squares, as we know, those of you that crochet know, come in all different guises. They can be a very basic plain granny square, they can be fancy, they can have flower motifs and all sorts done with it. They can be multicoloured. But I think if you know how to crochet and you just want something that's portable, that you can take with you easily, then the granny square is a great option. And it's versatile. I mean, you don't just have to make blankets and bags with granny squares. You know, increasingly patterns for garments have got them. So, I cannot for the life of me remember the name of this pattern, so I'm going to have to put it on afterwards. But this was one that Noosh in the shop made out of granny squares. I will have to look it up for you and pop it below. But that is an amazing sort of way of using them up. It has got a little bit of knitting, but if you are good at doing crochet rib, you could add your crochet rib to it. It's been hugely popular in the shop. And granny squares don't have to really be square. I know, it should be in the name, shouldn't it? But these are similar. So these are just hexagons, which I joined together. I think this was a Toft pattern, which are just 5 different colours. You could do it all the same colour. And again, hugely portable, quite therapeutic, just working, you know, I'd be on a train and work multiple ones of these. You know, I do all the cream ones or do all the dark brown ones all in one go. Really easy to do. UK treble stitch predominantly, or US double crochet stitch. But yeah, totally get why the granny square featured in your top 10 of mindless knits or crochets. So last but not least, and I could do a series of these videos because there were more that I could do. You made some great suggestions, and I had a great time going through Ravelry, looking at all these patterns, thinking, oh, I haven't knit that. What one's that one? And sort of looking at why that might be a mindless knit. And I might give some honourable mentions in a moment. But number 10 was, and I'm not surprised by this, was the Half and Half wrap by Pearl Soho. So, oh, I've got things coming up on my, isn't it typical? You go to lift up your iPad and then all these messages start coming through. So the Half and Half wrap, essentially it's like my it's got a short row in the middle, which is where you change colour. So essentially you are knitting garter stitch forever. And a long time ago, when that pattern came out, it was everywhere. Everywhere you looked, everybody was knitting the Half and Half wrap. And I got sort of caught up with the hype and did purchase the yarn, which is the linen quill that was recommended for the pattern by Pearl Soho. And I loved it in these sort of 2 natural shades. You need 2, I've got 2 more of these, by the way, so anybody's looking at it saying she hasn't got enough to knit Half and Half wrap. But I think at the time I asked, was it just hype or would I wear it? Because it looked huge. And I think I talked myself out of actually making it because I just thought it was, again, process over product maybe, but it would just be sort of knitting, and maybe I just needed a little bit more stimulation than just garter stitch for ages. However, I'm sort of beginning to come around to it again, as the thought of maybe, I mentioned in my previous video that we've just purchased a camper van, or a converted van into a camper van, and I want a project that I can just leave in there, that I know that I can just pick up whenever I'm in there and just work on, and it really won't matter where I am in the project, in the pattern. And I sort of think that that might be quite a good one to just have in the camper van as my camper van project. It may take me a year, it may take me 2 years, but that might be quite a good one to do. So if you've knitted the Half and Half wrap, let me know, but I know a lot of you have by all the comments that you put on my comments after the last video. So just a couple of others that got mentioned. There was Ribbon Wrap by Jackie Rose, Traveller's Hoop or Loop by Dawn Barker. A lot of you like fingerless mittens to knit too. Totally get that. I like fingerless mittens. Ho Ho Locatelli's super simple sweater got a mention, as did Lisa Much shawls. And obviously our Seabreeze shawl as well got quite a number of you mentioning it too. So I'm really grateful that you took the time to comment. I always love your comments. Please feed back to me how many of those you've knitted, or any that you think that you might like to cast on. I'd be really interested to hear what you've got to say. And as I said, I could make a whole series of these, and some of them, yeah, I'm quite tempted. Certainly the Half and Half wrap might be my camper van knitting project. It can double up as a blanket when it's cold, as well as I make it bigger. And that is a free pattern, obviously, by Pearl Soho. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've enjoyed this, please do like, please do comment. And if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe bell. so that you don't miss out on any of my other videos. I'm really looking forward to talking to you next time. Next time will be a catch up on what I've been working on, my whips, and yeah, just a little life update. But I hope you're all well and speak to you soon. Bye for now.